In this episode of the Locked On NBA Big Board Podcast, it is titled The Untold Story of Zhaire Smith. If you remember, Zhaire Smith was the 16th pick in the 2018 NBA Draft and has a crazy story where he's just dealt with so much adversity, from injuries to being in the hospital for a month and a half and losing 60 pounds. So in this episode, he's going to tell his story, and we're going to talk about his comeback as he is signed a contract with the Cleveland Cavaliers. So stay tuned to hear the untold story of former first-round pick Zhaire Smith. Big shout out to each and every person that has made the Locked On NBA Big Board Podcast your first listen of the day. I'm your host, Rafael Barlowe, the director of scouting for NBA Big Board and the founder of NBA Draft Junkies. We are getting closer and closer to the start of basketball season. Training camps have already opened in Dallas and Minnesota. Dallas and Minnesota. And then training camps are going to start opening up this week. The first preseason game is just about 4 or 5 days away, so we are finally back to basketball season. But before we get into this episode with Zhaire Smith, I want to let you know that this episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. You got to check out the Gametime app. I went to the Dallas Wings and Las Vegas Aces game on Friday night. Went to pay for 2 tickets, and I had a $100 credit on the Gametime app, so it's real. I'm not just saying it. I was shocked. I was expecting to pay like $250, and I only had to pay $150. So check out the Gametime app. All right, let's get into this episode with Zhaire Smith. We touched on quite a few different subjects. The episode I'm going to break up into 2 different parts. But Zaire has a crazy story that I thought I knew about. Come to find out, I did not know half of what he went through. And I'm rooting for Zaire. So check out part 1 of the untold story of former first-round pick Zhaire Smith. All right, I'm here with Zhaire Smith. And Zaire has one of the more unique stories over the past few years. He was a first-round pick, but I don't think you've had a chance to really tell your story. I mean, we've heard bits and pieces here, so this is an opportunity for you to share your story. So let's go back to high school. You were I think barely a 3-star recruit. You weren't highly touted. I actually went to one of your last high school games. You played Richardson High.
Yeah.
And I remember you just made some athletic plays. And so that was my first time really like seeing like, okay, this guy is a Division I player. But then I know like you played for RM5. Shout out to Mo Williams. I used to work with Mo the season before that. You weren't like the star of the team. You go to Texas Tech, and then you have this breakout freshman year. And then after your breakout freshman year, which caught a lot of people by surprise, your name is buzzing up draft boards, and you end up being a first-round pick. And then after that, it just seems like stuff happened back to back to back. All right, so was the first like setback, you had a foot injury, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yep. Foot, 5th metatarsal in my foot was the first setback.
And so when was that? When was the foot injury? Like when did that occur?
I believe that was probably August or early September at Gers camp.
Oh, so you were, I mean, just like the preseason camp where they send like their teams send their young guys to go play, and that's where it happened at?
Yep, right after summer league.
And you had mentioned to me off record that you feel like you've only had 2 seasons where you came into the season healthy?
Yep, that was my first summer league as a rookie. Then the following year, my second summer league. That's probably when I was most healthy and ready to go.
All right, so let's talk about your rookie year, and we'll get back to like the high school stuff. So going into your rookie year, you were traded for Mikal Bridges, which he's a Philly kid, and so I know that was probably not the most popular decision amongst Sixers fans. And I mean, I remember watching the draft. Did you feel extra pressure and just from that whole experience, because his mom worked for the team, did you feel some pressure in that? And then on top of the foot injury, was that like additional pressure for you?
Not really, because I wasn't even worried about that. I was just worried about getting on the court because I had just so much injury back to back. So that was just the last thing on my mind.
Okay. And then let's talk about this infection that you had. It's like, or this allergic reaction.
Yeah.
I haven't heard the whole story. Like, give me the play by play of what exactly happened and how much it impacted you and even your career in a sense.
Yeah. So I had an allergic reaction during training camp my rookie year. They had some Thai chicken, and usually that's with peanut butter, or they have some sort of nuts in there. So I ate that. My lips started swelling immediately. So I went back to my house over there in Cherry Hill at the time. And then I was okay for a little bit. And then I started catching hives. Then once that happened, I took some Benadryl, tried to use my EpiPen, but my EpiPen was expired. And then probably about 5 to 10 minutes later, my throat started closing up on me. And once that happened, I just called 911. And then I went to the hospital. And I was in the hospital for about a month and a half.
A month and a half?
Lost about 60 pounds. Like my whole body deteriorated. Tubed up, stuff all over my body, stomach, feeding tube. I was just, out of there, skin and bone.
Wow. Like what did you get down to as far as weight?
Probably, I want to say I lost 60, probably 160.
Wow.
I think I got down to 160. Probably pushing 155 I saw one time.
Man, so like I didn't, I mean, I heard about it. I heard it was pretty serious, but I didn't know it was a month and a half. Did you know that you were allergic to sesame seed or peanuts?
Yeah, I knew I was allergic to peanut. I just didn't know it was in the chicken. The last reaction I had prior to that was probably when I was like 11 years old. Ate some brownies at Go to Corral. It had nuts in it, and just got my EpiPen. And I was good the next day. So I thought that's how it was gonna be this time.
A
But it was
month and a half.
month and a half, just in the hospital bed, going through testings. I was mad, just depressed, like out of there. On hard drugs like what is it called, morphine. So sometimes I would just sleep the whole time throughout the day.
And tell me about like just your mental state. I know you mentioned that you were depressed, which is, I mean, it's very natural, especially if you just reached like your dream, and to have this happen to you. So what were like going through your mind at this time, and then how did you just fight through it in a sense?
Yeah. So during the time, like I was out of there, so I really, was halfway on drugs, so I didn't know what was going on. But when I was up, like I was just like, man, I'm trying to get up out of here. So every day I'm like, I'm leaving. I was just ready to go. I didn't even know my body looked that bad until I got home when they discharged me. I think October 24th. I saw my body in the mirror. I was like, oh my gosh. Like I thought I looked the same. So I'm thinking I'm about to look at myself, but it was different. I was like, wow. I shocked myself. I was like, oh my gosh. So I immediately was in a rush to do some workouts.
How long did it take just to get your body back? I mean, just kind of like acclimated to like moving and all of that.
Yeah. I say it took a while. So probably around probably January.
And even then, that seems pretty fast considering that. I mean, what you were going through. How long did it take to put like the weight back on? Was it like really a slow process?
It was, but also I probably sped up. I was drinking like 8 milkshakes a day. So, but because I played that following, I played that year.
It was late in the year, though, right?
Yep. At the All-Star break, so I played in February. I had my first game.
All right, I have more with Zaire in a minute, but I want to talk to you about Gametime, because you should not have to worry about buying tickets to your next event. Gametime is fast and easy. It is the fastest and the easiest way to buy tickets for sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you. They have killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and they have a best price guarantee. And Gametime takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. I've used Gametime a few times. Once I was in New York for a Yankees game. I used Gametime to go to the Errol Spence Bud Crawford fight. What I like about Gametime is when they have the all-in prices, you can like flip the bar, and you're not surprised, because there are plenty of times where I use other apps for tickets, and the tickets are one cost, and then by the time you go to checkout, you find out that the fees are like an extra $50 to $75 to $100. Well, Gametime gives you the all-in prices, so you know exactly how much you're going to spend. But they have the last-minute tickets, flash deals, zone deals. It's easy to find and buy tickets from every type of event in your area, and they actually show you views of the seats from the venue and their low price guarantee, event cancellation protection. They even have job loss protection, so you can see the view from your seat before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. There are times where I've bought seats to a game and my view is absolutely terrible, especially when you go to some venues in like different countries. But with Gametime, you can actually see the view of the seat, and the all-in prices show your total up front, so you know what you're getting, a real deal, and you don't have the hidden fees. You can buy the tickets in seconds, in just a couple of taps. Gametime has deals on tickets right up to the start of the event, and even an hour after it starts. It is the last place where you can find last-minute seats. And you can find their exclusive deals and sponsored deals on tickets for football, basketball, baseball, concerts, theater, and more. So go to Gametime. Download the Gametime app, I should say. Create an account. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA, and you'll get $20 off your first purchase. Now, terms apply. Again, you have to create an account and use the redeem code LOCKEDONNBA, LOCKEDONNBA, for $20 off your first purchase. Download the Gametime app. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. And when I say lowest price guaranteed, they have a Gametime guarantee, which you'll get the best price. And if you find tickets in the same section or row for less, Gametime will credit you 110% of the difference. So again, download the Gametime app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA, and $20 off your first purchase. And did you feel like anything close to yourself, or was it just like you were just getting back out there?
Just getting back out there. I was out of there. I was like, man, I'm considered retiring because I played so bad. Like, my first shot hit the top of the backboard. My first three, I was like, man, I'm done. Like, I think I ended up with maybe 4 points or maybe even 2 points, but I just didn't feel like myself. And I had people encourage me to say, bro, this is your first game back. We expect you to play bad. And then the following game, I played pretty good. But
and how long were you? I'm sorry, Control. How long were you? Did you like work out, or was, because you didn't have like, a mini camp, and any basketball player, if you don't touch a ball all summer, you're going to be rusty.
Most definitely.
So for you, it's like not only you didn't touch a ball, you lost 60 pounds, you were in the hospital. So I know like your timing and everything was off. So how long did you rehab and prepare before you played your first game?
Really, since I got discharged, so October all the way through February. But during that times, I was going to the gym late night. So since I was skinny, that changed my shot. So I was shooting like far back from my right side. So that's probably why when I did my first shot in the G League, that's probably why I hit the top of the backboard. But I just had to really change everything because I was skinny. Then once I gained my weight back, I gained my strength back. So it's like I just had to do a whole reconstruction on my shot and game. And I just felt the same when I hit that summer. I was like, okay, cool. I'm going to use this time to grind. I hit it hard. 2-a-days, 4 a.m. in the mornings, and late nights, just grinding.
And then you had said, or you mentioned that you thought about retiring after your first shot. Was that something that like constantly went through your mind? It was like, when you're on your road back, like, is it worth it? Because I can imagine, you probably can look at your bank account and say, I got some money in here. I'm good. But then it's the love of the game that brings you back. But how often did you think that it was over for you?
Probably just that one time at the shop, more than likely because I was embarrassed. But I love the game too much to retire. So when all the injury I faced, I was just hungry to get back to it because I love the game.
Yeah,
and itched me to get back on the floor.
And you're probably still in a mode of trying to prove yourself because you've had other setbacks. And
Hmm.
how did the team handle your situation? I mean, I know they were probably stunned
Yeah,
that it was that serious. So how were they supportive in that case?
it was very supportive. A lot of staff was coming in and out. Got a couple text messages about one or two players from the team, and yeah, they helped a lot. The staff did for sure.
But at that point, you probably didn't really know your teammates because you weren't ever around them, correct?
Nope, I didn't. Not at all.
So
Not
you
really.
were, I mean, you were really like kind of like on an island by yourself in a sense with family. And did you spend the whole time out in the Philly metro area or did you come back to Texas?
The whole time in Philly.
Okay. And then who was out there with you?
My mom.
And then as far as like training, did you use like the training staff or did you have like somebody that you've been working with before come out there with you?
I use both. So I use the training staff, and then I had my trainer out there when I was going through the diagnose. He was just rebounding for me.
Did you not play the 2021 season? Is that correct?
2021. No, I don't. No, I didn't play that season.
And what was going on that season?
They said it was a bone bruise in my knee. So during that 2019-2020 season, since the beginning, uh, I was my knees was hurting.
Mm-hmm.
So during that time, like every game, I was like, okay, this is my last game. But I guess my adrenaline kicked in and I played through it. But I was hurt the whole time. Then when the coronavirus hit, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna use a couple of days to rest. And then it felt like it just got worse. And then I got treated, and Philly was talking about it was a bone bruise. So I've been dealing with that all the way up till now.
And you know what? If I didn't work with a player that had a bone bruise, I would not know how serious that is. So I was
Yeah.
training a guy, an NBA player, and this was right before the season. So after COVID year, people thought the season wasn't going to start up until January. So this guy that I was working with, he was trying to rush back. He was in decent shape, but he was trying to ramp
Yeah.
up and get into training camp shape because the season turned around really fast. And so I was out in LA with him, and then he had did some box jumps or something like that. And then he called me and was like, "Hey, I ain't gonna be able to go tomorrow. My knee's kind of hurting a little bit, but
Mm-hmm.
we'll go the next day." And then the next day he's like, "Man, my knees kind of bothering me a little bit." And he just kept saying that he didn't think it was too serious. He just thought it was bothering him. And then come to find out it was a bone bruise. And that took a long time to heal. I think he missed that season. It got picked up maybe like right
Yeah.
before the playoffs. But the problem was he's like once the bone bruise healed, he couldn't get other muscles to fire. Like I think he was saying like
Yep.
his glutes weren't firing, then his
Yep.
calf wasn't firing. So is
You
that
gotta
what
work
you went
all
through?
that. Yeah, you gotta work all that. Like, and after that, I went to other doctors and specialists, and they were just saying they need to strengthen my quads. But at the end of the day, 2022 last year, I just needed a little minor surgery, so a little cleanup, and boom, I was good. So after that surgery, I was good to go. But they just kept saying strengthen your quads. And when they was saying strengthen the quads, it's like your body's a train, so everything connects. So of course I had to do my glutes, ankles, calves. I'm like,
Yep.
golly. And I was working hard too. Foam rolling about 2 hours a day. I was
Yep.
I was getting it.
Did you have that little, it's like this little pillow that you got to step on or something like that?
Everything in the book I was doing. I was like, golly, I'm grinding,
Yeah.
tired.
And
And it's like a roller coaster. One day
yep.
I feel good, the next day I can't even walk.
Yep. And it's crazy because, like I said, if I didn't like experience with this player, I would have not known. Because, on the outside, you just hear a bone bruise. Oh, man, it's
Yeah.
kind of like a bruise on your elbow.
Right.
You think it heals. But I just saw like the roller coaster with him to where he's like, I'm ready. I'm ready. And he was ready to have his agent call teams. And then he'd have a bad workout where he couldn't move. Then it
Yeah.
was a setback. And then it may be a week later. Then all of a sudden he's like, man, my calf isn't working. And then it
Yep.
was his
Yep.
quad, then it was his glutes, and it was just this long process to where he always thought, I'm a week away, I'm a week away, I'm a week
Yeah.
away. And then it just ended up being like, I want to say it was like 6 months. And so I live in Dallas and he lives out in LA. And then me and another trainer were rotating. We were going back and forth. I would be there one week. And so it was like he wasn't making money because he was a free agent that year and he
Mm-hmm.
was spending money to like fly me out
Right.
there, then
Right.
fly the other trainer, then go to the doctors. And I mean, he was working. I mean, he was just spending a lot of money. Then just kind of seeing if he's like, all right, I feel good. Then the next day it could be like, man, I don't know if I'm going to play this year and so on. So
Situation. I was like, okay, I'm play some of you this year. Okay, I'm play some of you this year, type stuff, and just going to Atlanta, P3, adapt, just going to these high major places, and it's
he
like a
went to
roller coaster.
he went to Atlanta.
Oh,
he,
my
he
golly.
he went to Atlanta a couple times. And was the knee injury, do you think it was related to the allergy, as far as like maybe when you were putting on weight, did your bones have to like readjust? You think that was part of it?
I probably do believe so. Yeah, because like I said, prior to that, I have really no injuries in my body. Like I can just go out and go. So I think the allergy probably did do that, put pressure on my knees, and like I said, everything deteriorated. So it had to like probably I don't know what, but probably the allergy.
And where are you at now? Do you feel like you are like at your healthiest that you've been in years?
Yes, most definitely. I feel like I'm 100% and probably the most healthy I've been in years. Feel good.
I don't know if you know, but I saw you a couple times working out with Tim Martin this summer. So I was in the gym, and there was a couple
Yeah.
times where I think I was leaving and you were coming in. So I did get a chance to see you work out. And so you signed with Cleveland. So you're in
Yeah.
Cleveland right now.
Yes,
And
sir.
going into camp, like what are your goals for this season?
My goal is really just, of course, just get back on the court and just do me. So hopefully get a two-way. And then after that two-way, hopefully by the end of the season, probably just sign to a standard contract.
Yep. So
But probably, yeah.
I feel like you got drafted in what year was that? 18?
2018.
2018. You're 24, but at the same time you're relatively inexperienced because you just haven't had a lot of the game reps because of just injuries and so on. And so what do you think is going to be like the role that you're going to have to play to get the two-way, then get the standard contract?
Probably just, the 3-and-D, knowing the offense. I've been watching a lot of film when I was out. So, I'm kind of familiar with the game, played a couple NBA games, so I know how the environment is. So really just playing hard, just doing a little work, knowing my role, and just do what I do best prior to getting drafted. Being athletic, playing defense, and making open shots, and understanding the concepts.
Well, that wraps up this episode of the Locked On NBA Big Board Podcast. Be sure to tune in for part 2. And in part 2, we're going to talk about Zaire's freshman season at Texas Tech, the season that basically changed his life. We're going to talk about his NBA pre-draft process and also what to look forward to seeing in the future. Once again, it's Rafael Barlowe with my guest Zhaire Smith. This was the Untold episode, or the Untold story of Zhaire Smith. Part 1, part 2 on the way. And I am out.